Hey everybody, this is Sean Riley with Riley Real Estate and MassHomesale.com coming at you with this week's Q&A Saturday video. First of all, it's the 4th of July, so I just want to wish everybody a happy holiday. So this week we're going to be answering the question of how do you hire a contractor? So contractors are somebody you really need to be able to work with in pretty much any situation. If you are a seller that is looking to do some work on your house before putting it on the market, you need to work with contractors. If you just bought a house that you want to live in and you got a fixer-upper to try to get a better deal, you're going to need to work with contractors. If you're an investor who's looking to do rental properties and if it needs any kind of initial renovation or any fixes while you own it, you're going to probably use a contractor. And if you are looking to buy houses, fix them up, and resell them, you're going to be working with contractors. So they come up in pretty much every facet that you can work in real estate. So these are very important people, and they can be very difficult to work with. Good contractors are great, and they do wonderful work, and they can give you good pricing and all sorts of, everything's great. These are hard to find. Like in most professions, you have some people who are really, really good. You have a lot of people who are fairly mediocre, and then you have some people who are really terrible. And unfortunately, you have to plan for getting somebody who's really terrible and protect yourself in case stuff like that happens. So there's different ways to find contractors. Really, the best way is if you can find referrals. So if you know somebody who has worked with somebody in the past who they really like, that's obviously great because you immediately have a reference and it's somebody that you know already, so you trust the person that you're hearing that from. You can also find people on Craigslist. You can find them on various websites like I think it's called Home Advisor now, used to be Service Magic. And there's many other ways. So I'm not really going to get into much into that as I am about what you should do once you are looking at contractors. So whenever you have a job, you should get multiple people to look at it. Generally, people say you want to get at least 3. You can certainly get more than that. You really want to have at least 2 so you have something to compare it to. And unfortunately, if you talk to 7 contractors, you might only have 3 or 4 of them show up. And of the ones that show up, you might not get bids from all of them. So you do want to look at a lot of different people to try to get that vetted out. But so once you are talking to a contractor about doing your work, you need to get a lot of paperwork to make sure they are who they say they are, they can do what they say they can do and what you need them to be able to do, and to make sure there aren't any problems as far as getting the right work done, getting stuff done on time, and payments and all sorts of stuff like that. So when you're starting off, you do need to talk to them. You got to, assuming this is you're trying to find a licensed contractor, if you have a big enough job that needs to be pull permits and stuff like that, you want to ask them if they're licensed. You want to get a copy of that license. You want to verify that it is a good license. In Massachusetts, you can go online to the state and you can verify a license, and I will put a link to that below the video. I'm pretty sure most states have this resource, so if you're just because you're not from Massachusetts doesn't mean you won't be able to do the same thing. Obviously, you'll have a different website, but you should be able to verify it that way. All contractors should be insured, so you should ask them that if they have insurance, and you should ask them to provide the proof of insurance, and you want to verify that that the insurance is in fact valid and currently in effect. I actually know 2 different people who have recently done all the right things. They've gotten their contracts right, they've checked licenses, and they got proof of insurance, but the contractor actually had forged the insurance documentation. So, as in most industries, most people are at least honest. They might not necessarily be good, but they're not going to be flat-out criminals. But you do have a few people who are like that, and you should take that extra time to verify all the information just to make sure you don't get that random bad apple. After that, you do want to get references. So like I said, it's good if you got somebody who referred the person, because right then you have a good reference to start off with. But you should ask them to talk to past clients, to talk to current clients, and you do actually want to talk to these people. Now, obviously, these are people that they give you the names for, so they're probably not going to really rip into them. But if you ask the right questions, you can find out little nuances. You're not necessarily looking for bad stuff. You're also just trying to figure out how the person works and how you will be able to work with them. You should go to a job site and actually see the work. So knowing that they are willing to let you look at it, and so you can kind of see if they do what you were expecting them to do, and if the quality looks good and all that sort of stuff. It is also good to maybe go by the site at a time not with the contractor, so you can kind of see what his people are doing. You're not going to go trespassing on the property, but you can do a drive-by, or you can just walk down the street and just kind of like peer in and see what's going on. That's a good way to, again, kind of see what's going on without it necessarily being staged. So you also want to, if you get all this stuff and it looks pretty good, then you need to make sure you get a contract with them. You need to, excuse me, a contract should definitely lay out what all the work you expect to be done is. You should talk about materials. It's best if you can specify it as much as possible, but you at least want to define the type and quality of any products that you're going to be using. It should lay out a timeline, because they might be able to give you a great price and anything like that, but that might be because they are the only person working on a job. They really should be 3 or 4 people. Might be because they're working on a whole bunch of other jobs, so they can take on some more work, but then your job gets pushed back and it takes longer than you expected. So there should be a deadline, and there should be a penalty if they can't meet that deadline for reasons that are not beyond their control. Again, we're in Massachusetts. Those of you who are here might have remembered that it snowed a lot this year, so it's not reasonable to hold them up because we had 5 blizzards in 5 weeks. It obviously would have been much harder for them to do their work in that particular situation. But if it's just, they didn't order materials in time, like a lot of good contractors understand the lead times for certain jobs, and they should get their ducks in a row for those things. So, hey, the carpet's ready to go in, and they're calling the carpet guy that day. That's a problem. That's something they could have avoided having happen, and if that's why the job takes longer than it should, they should get a penalty for that. So that's what that kind of clause in your contract should be. Those are the main things. The other really important thing is to get a lien waiver when they finish their job. A lien waiver is just a document basically stating that they did work on the house, but they were paid, and they were paid in full for everything that they were supposed to do. That way, if they can't come back and claim that you didn't pay them something, and then they put a lien on the property, which makes it basically so you can't sell it until that gets cleared up in one way or the other. They could still go put something on there, but now you have a document saying that you did, and so if you needed to go to court or something like that, basically you should win because they signed something saying that they were paid, and then they filed documents saying they weren't paid. It's also very important if you hire a general contractor who's going to use subcontractors like plumbers and electricians and HVAC people and roofers and anything like that, that all of the subcontractors also sign lien waivers because they could do the exact same thing. And even if you pay your contractor, that does not necessarily, again, you have bad apples out there, that does not necessarily mean that they are going to pay the subcontractors. So condition of getting the contractor getting his final payment is to provide lien waivers from all of his subcontractors to ensure that they have already been paid or that they will be paid. Excuse me. So those are the main things. That more or less covers all the really important things that somebody in a homeowner situation, so somebody who's either going to be selling a house or just recently purchased a house, would need to really know. If you're an investor, there's actually a whole bunch of other things you need to do as well that involve the business side, insurance indemnifications and independent contractor agreements, W-9s, and other stuff like that to factor in some more of the business side stuff. That stuff is less important for homeowners. So working with contractors can be very difficult, and there's a lot of things that need to go into it, to protect yourself. But I think this is a pretty good overview. Hopefully, hopefully this helps. And if you have any questions about anything that I said here, if you think there's other stuff that I forgot about, or if you didn't understand any of the things I was talking about, leave a comment below. I will try to answer your question. And as always, if you have questions that you would like answered, please feel free to post them on our Facebook page, our Twitter account. You can send an email to info@masshomesale.com, or you can just leave them in the comments of any of these videos. And so that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you had a good holiday, and I will see you guys next week. All right? Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.